Sunny everywhere. Countrywide sunshine. Excellent. Well, that is good. I hope we're all toasty and nice and warm for this session on heat and energy efficiency. This is our Community Energy Forum with Northern Powergrid. We're really delighted to welcome so many of you here this afternoon. My name's Jodie. I am the project manager at Regen who leads our communities programme. And we're a mission-led organisation at Regen. We've been working for many years with community energy organisations and helping facilitate conversations just like this one with distribution network operators across the country. It's so brilliant to see so many of you here. Clearly, this is a subject and a topic very close to many of your hearts, and we're going to get into that a bit more this afternoon. But before we begin on that, there's a few points of admin I'd like to go through with you. We've got lots of people from Northern Powergrid on the call to help you today with any questions, and the Regen team as well as Kayla from BESCO. We're really delighted to have Kayla here joining us this afternoon to go through an example of how to succeed in the heat and energy efficiency programme as a community energy organisation. And she tells me she's going to be really radical with her presentation, so really looking forward to that. From Northern Powergrid, we've got Helen, Amanda, Emma, Mark and Gavin. And from Regen, we've got Hannah and Kai on the line as well. So if you're having any technical issues at all, please take them offline and chat to Hannah about those. Please remember that we're recording this session just so that we can share it afterwards with anyone who isn't able to join us at this particular time live. Please use the chat function as much as possible. If you've got any questions, just ask them in the chat, and we will also try and make this as interactive as possible so you can really ask your own questions. We will, as usual, send you all the slides, so you don't need to type furiously and take notes. And your feedback is absolutely essential to us. We know that you're all at very, very different stages on your journey. We know from what you've told us when you signed up for this webinar that some of you are right at the beginning of your community energy journey, and some of you are at very intermediate stages or advanced, doing innovation projects, that kind of thing. So we're trying to make these sessions as useful as possible for everyone, but do bear in mind that everyone is at different stages of their journey. And the feedback is really about us listening to you. It's about Regen and Northern Powergrid taking on board what you said and taking on board what you've asked for, and trying to make sure that not only these sessions are as useful as possible, but that what we do and the actions we take in future are really what you want to happen. So this session on heat and energy efficiency is a topic that last time you told us you wanted to be prioritised, and that's why we're having this session today. You said you wanted it, here we are delivering it. So hopefully we're going to learn more about what community energy organisations are doing about heat and energy efficiency. We're going to help you build your knowledge and understanding of what's going on, particularly from a whole systems perspective. We want you to be inspired by this session as well, so we're going to try and keep it fun and proactive and positive and light, and also give some practical tips and advice from hopefully from Kayla this afternoon, who's been there and done it. So in terms of some context on heat and energy efficiency, in terms of climate change, the Committee on Climate Change have told us that the UK's 29 million homes account for 14% of our total emissions. But that's actually going up, it's rising, those emissions are rising. And we're not adapting our homes fast enough to keep us safe and healthy and warm and protecting us from flooding or being underwater. So there are some key challenges there in terms of what we are doing about our domestic emissions from our homes. The Office of National Statistics also are telling us that over 23,000 people died in the winter of 2018-19, and the main cause of that was respiratory disease. So this is excess winter deaths, people living in cold, damp houses that are causing them to have respiration issues or other health issues that are causing them to die before they need to. So this is a really serious issue that we're tackling. Tackling cold, damp homes is one of the biggest challenges to achieving net zero. We need national strategy, we need local leadership, but we also need everyone to engage in this. And our Conservative government, their manifesto pledged 9.2 billion of investment in energy efficiency. The Green Homes Grant was extended this week in the Prime Minister's 10-point plan for a green industrial revolution. So that essentially means loads more heat pumps. Not a lot of mention of gas in that 10-point plan. Implementing future home standard, which is supposedly going to ban gas boilers, and they have brought that implementation forward to 2023, which is really positive. So it's great to see some ambitious statements coming out of government on this subject, but we really now need to see the detailed action and really hold our government to account on that. The government's heat and building strategy is due in 2021, and this morning Regen had a session with BEIS and on a webinar with Adrian Briggs from BEIS, who's going to be leading the writing of that heat and building strategy. And this is perhaps one of the most important documents that we need to be looking out for from our government to influence this agenda. But really, whilst all of that is going on the policy side, we have communities in Northern Powergrid's region and across the country doing really exciting projects to try and address this topic. We've got communities in this region exploring mine water heating. We've got community energy organisations nationally going out and visiting people in their cold, damp homes, helping them get out of fuel poverty and save money on their energy bills, delivering energy efficiency work, draft proofing, simple measures that can help people out of fuel poverty. And this is real practical bottom-up action whilst we wait for our politicians to catch up with us, essentially. So lots of inspiring work going across the country. The agenda today is hopefully going to help us capture some of that and also think very much about what Northern Powergrid are doing in this space and how they can help us to deliver more of this sort of work. And also, as I say, get inspired about what we can do now to act and change this agenda and make it less of a challenge and more of an opportunity. So on our agenda, we're going to hear from Anda, who's going to give us a bit of an update on what Northern Powergrid have been up to since the last community forum. We've got Mark Callan joining us, who's going to talk us through network losses and energy efficiency from a technical perspective on the network. Interactive workshops. So this is your opportunity to ask all the questions you need to ask. You can post those in the chat throughout, but we're going to be breaking you up into groups and then having good long conversations to help you ask the questions you need to ask, say what you need to say, challenge how you need to challenge. We're going to have a bit of a break, and then we're going to hear from Kayla and John from Community Energy England as well, before we try and wrap up by 4. So it's a lot to fit in. So please do use the chat, as I say. And I'm going to hand over, without further ado, to Anda from Northern Powergrid.
Hi, thank you, Jodie. Hi, everyone. I mean, you've outlined so nicely how decarbonizing heat is such a massive challenge, but it's also such an opportunity. I think this is a really exciting topic, and I'm really glad to see so many people joining. So hopefully you agree that it's an exciting topic and well worth a discussion today. But I'm going to be very brief and give you just a headline updates since our previous event on 3rd of September. As part of the sign-up process, we asked you to express your interest if you would like to be part of the Community Energy Stakeholder Panel. So massive thank you for that. We've received quite a lot of interest, and we think we've set up quite a diverse panel now that's representing our geography and various groups within it at various stages of their community energy projects. We also held the first session of the panel this month, and we discussed the connections and connections charges for community energy projects and generally the regulation that is in place today and how that might change. Connections is still is and will be a very important conversation topic, and we might want to make sure that you have the relevant access to us and the ability to discuss your connection needs for new connections or for connection upgrades. And for doing that, we have connection surgeries available to sign up, and we'll share the information how to do that in the chat. Also, for any other technical queries or questions you might have on any subject, we have a community energy inbox where you can, which is the best way to reach us and get in touch with us, essentially to discuss your project or anything else you'd like, and the community energy website, as well as the monthly or quarterly newsletters that we send out. Please email us if you would like to sign up to those. So today we're going to discuss various things, and I'm really looking forward to our speakers. I know Mark will discuss something that many people have found of interest, and touch on the community energy innovation projects lightly. So, but before that, I'm going to hand over to my colleague Helen, who's going to share a wider update on what we've been busy with. But before I do that, I would like to add, this is the third event that we're hosting this year, and there will be 2 more next year. So please stay tuned and please sign up and join us next year as well. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks very much, Anda, and welcome everybody. It is amazing to see so many of you here, and this is one of our favourite events. All our events are important, but this one because we get so much dialogue and so much feedback and so much challenge. So please, keep that going on in the chat. I've got very limited time and a couple of things I just wanted to run you through, and I've got some supporting slides. I'm very happy to take questions when we come to the breakout sessions or during the tea break as well. So I'm just going to give you a brief update on our business planning process and try to make it sound exciting, because it is. And then just to also to give you a very small update on some of the things that we're doing to support energy efficiency. And you might say, actually, we need a long conversation about that at a link to this discussion, which is absolutely fair. But I just thought, as framing to this event, it's important just to share what we're doing as Northern Powergrid. We've mentioned it, I think, last time we met. We're in a very busy schedule of preparing for our next business plan. And Jodie at previous events, and I think we have underlined the importance of getting feedback from you as a group into our business planning process. So we're preparing for our business plan, which runs from 2023 to 2028, which, as Jodie's framed, is a critical time to start to challenge and also build, carry on building foundations for our net zero journey. And it's vitally important that we get views from you, our customers and stakeholders, to help us shape what our priorities are within that. So as it says here, we continue to receive feedback and be challenged. If I can have the next slide, that would be brilliant. Thank you. I know a number of you, because I've seen a lot of familiar faces on Zoom, are already aware that we published at the end of summer a really significant and important document called Emerging Thinking, which sets out some of the areas which we've identified as priorities, and also sets out some of the initiatives that we are considering about that we're setting out for our priorities, and also the potential costs of those. So I know you're really busy people, but if you have an opportunity, we have a microsite where it engages. You can follow the link there, and it is important, to receive your feedback and gain your views on what you think should be our priorities and where we should be investing to support community energy and decarbonisation across the region. If you can carry on, that would be great. The next slide. Thank you. So this is a bit of a detailed slide, but as we're short of time, I just wanted to highlight that there are some very familiar topics within our emerging plans. Right at the heart is decarbonisation, supported by things such as reliability, support for our vulnerable customers, and as Anders said, connections. And in addition to that, what we're trying to set out are levels of ambition, where we know we need to be very efficient, but also where we can really set out projects and priorities which can create a step change in our delivery and our support to you as our communities. And we're receiving significant amounts of feedback in terms of how ambitious people think we should be. And as you might imagine, we're getting a lot of feedback about the fact, obviously, that we need to be significantly ambitious, which we're working through at the moment. So just to give you a sense of the types of topics, and then to kind of conclude that, thanks for that. If you want to pop to the next one, a scamper through. All of our information and our events are held on our Engage website, which is here, and we'll pop it in the chat, which has details about where we are on our business plan, what we've heard so far, opportunities for you to comment and give us feedback, and also events. And I just wanted to draw your attention. We've got 2 really interesting events coming up. One on the 2nd of December, where we're talking about resilience, obviously a very significant topic for all of us, linked to climate change adaptation also, as well as workforce resilience. And also we're with a key session for ANZA particularly is our sustainability workshop on the 15th of December. And you can find details on our website. And I know that Gavin, who's also joining us today, will be sending out that link. So, we would welcome your interest in those topics. So that is an incredibly fast scamper through just to really point to our microsite to say, please join us and give us feedback. And also very happy to have, individual group conversations about that. So taking a breath, Andy, you've come on. I've got another couple of slides, I think, with regard to some of our energy efficiency projects. If those could be popped up, that would be great. Thanks, Kai. So just setting the scene for today. And I noticed in our attendees, we've actually got some of our colleagues from Groundworks here who help us with some of these programs. But we just thought it would be important to highlight, we've got two key programs of support in the energy efficiency area as Northern Powergrid. Green Doctors, which we'll pop links in and happy to provide you with more information. So we're supporting Green Doctors to work across the whole of our region, Yorkshire and Humber and the North East, to provide very, very practical energy efficiency support and advice to our communities, particularly in areas who need it most, including information about tariff switching. And one of the things that we're trying to do is to ensure that that's more sustainable and actually leaving capability behind is the training of energy champions in communities, and more recently energy audits in community buildings. So we've got some very practical support out in our communities at the moment, recognising we can always do more. And similarly, the importance, which has come back loud and clear from people like yourselves, of supporting future customers. So within schools, we've got quite a mature energy efficiency program related to maths and STEM subjects, which has gone online. And similarly, we can provide you with more information if you have an interest in that. But really looking at how electricity is a medium to think about maths, science, and communication as part of the curriculum. And that links to energy audits for those schools that are involved in those programs. And lastly, just pointing out important, if you can pop to the next slide, thank you. In partnership with Northern Gas Networks, we've been running a very successful community partnering fund, which has been running as it says for 5 years. And our next round opens on the 21st of January, and we can provide information to this group where we are supporting projects right up to a £10,000 investment. And we have seen, as you might imagine, a significant increase in those projects, which are very diverse, helping communities across our regions. Energy efficiency is a key topic for some of our community groups, and importantly, obviously, as is COVID responses at this point in time. So I just wanted to draw your attention to that. And similarly, we can provide information for you with regard to that. And we have a particular interest with the Community Partnering Fund for looking at how we can ensure that we're supporting community groups like yourselves. So yes, sorry, a very swift scamper through, hopefully a helpful scene setting. Thank you.
Thanks, Helen. That's brilliant. We're going to move straight on now to network losses and energy efficiency with Mark Callum from Northern Powergrid. That's been a useful run through of some of the things going on and thinking about how, as networks, network operators are thinking about supporting communities. But now we're going to focus very much in on the losses and energy efficiency on the network with Mark.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Can you see my screen? I've just shared it. Is that working? Brilliant. Yes. Thank you very much. So hi, everyone. Mark Callum. I'm a smart grid engineer, and I'm here to discuss network losses, energy efficiency, and how the two actually link with each other. They're essentially the same thing. And given that this is a session on energy efficiency, it would be a missed opportunity if we didn't spend at least 10 minutes discussing the network energy efficiency and what we can do to help customers with their energy efficiency as well. So in terms of the engagement and what I'm looking to get from this, and sort of what I want you to get from this really, is for me to go through the linkage between the two, energy efficiency and losses. And also, as Helen mentioned, we're in a really critical stage of planning for our next, we call them price controls, but essentially a big 5-year chunk of our business plan. And part of that plan is our losses strategy. So I'm really keen to get any feedback from yourself once I've explained that strategy, so we can improve it. So first things first, what are losses? So no system's 100% efficient, and ours is the same. And we've got on the left energy in, the blue arrow energy out, and this red arrow here is the losses. And the losses on our network are essentially the same thing as energy efficiency of the network. And in a nutshell, the big ticket here is that roughly 6% of all energy in to our network is lost. And that loss is predominantly in the form of heat. So it's just wasted energy. And to put it into context, for our network alone, that feeds 8 million people, or 3.9 million metered customers. It's 2 terawatt hours. And really bringing it back home to sort of the individual level, it works out for every customer that typically uses 3,000 kilowatt hours a year. It's about 174 kilowatt hours a year of losses on our network. And the cost of that is huge. So, the big thing here is that actually the losses that occur in our network, the customers, so you guys actually pay for them as our customers. So first of all, we take them really seriously, and the individual cost for a typical customer is about £8.70. So there is a large cost there. And then the big thing really is that, environmentally, those losses need to be produced by generation somewhere. And that accounts for a lot of carbon dioxide released just to basically feed those losses on our network. And going forward, as we connect more things like heat pumps, electric vehicles, the load over the next couple of decades might roughly treble. And as we load the network much more, we do expect losses to increase overall. There will be pockets of decrease where you've got local generation offsetting demand, but overall we expect a huge increase in losses. So we really do take our role seriously in managing losses. And sorry, I'm just going to minimize something. And the thing I want to get across today is we undertake lots of initiatives to optimize losses on the network. There's lots of innovations we're doing, going beyond looking at just our network, but also looking at how we can help customers as well. But actually, one of the big things is on all of this, we think there's a huge role for our customers and that our customers can help. So first, what is our strategy? In a nice succinct argument, our strategy is to optimize whole system losses whilst facilitating decarbonisation. And that's the big thing we're concentrating on, getting to that net zero, but making sure we optimize losses along the way. And what I'll do is I'll unpack some of these things because there's maybe a bit of jargon here. So the first thing, what do I mean by optimizing? So the same with any of you as homeowners, you'll look at things like LED light bulbs and you'll maybe go, right, in my kitchen, I'll invest in LED light bulbs because the payback is, 6 months or a year. But under the stairs, well, do you spend money, £2-3 on an LED light bulb that gets turned on for about an hour a year and the payback is maybe 100 years? Probably not. It's exactly the same on our network. So there's lots of things we can do and invest in on our network to reduce losses. And the more and more we spend on losses, we expect the cost of losses to come down. So as we reduce losses, the cost impact of those will come down. But the blue line shows that, as we spend more on losses, the amount we spend on those actions ramps up significantly. And really the sweet spot is balancing the two and finding this optimum point here. So balancing the cost of losses against the cost of mitigating those losses. So that's what I mean by optimizing. In terms of actions, I'm not going to go through these. I will get sort of scolded by my peers, but really this is just a highlight of loads of geeky things people like me are doing. It's what you guys should expect us to do, looking at new technology, looking at ways of optimizing the network. It's all the standard stuff that, we really should be getting on with, and we are. And really the crux of today is picking up on that whole system bit. So what you're looking at here is this is kind of the way it tends to work now. On the left shows Northern Powergrid looking after its network efficiency. On the right, you've got customers looking after the customer's energy efficiency. And really, electrons don't really have a passport. They don't really care whether they're in an appliance of the customers or a Northern Powergrid's. So taking that into account, that electrons don't have passports, essentially, looking at it from a whole system perspective, at the top, actually, we realize the actions we take can have an impact on customers' energy efficiency. Similarly, the actions customers can take can actually impact our network energy efficiency, as in the losses. So there's a whole sort of coordination piece here. So let's just dig into that a little bit more. So first of all, customers and the whole system. So what I'll do now is I'll have a look at the impact customers can have on energy efficiency. So the first thing, there's two big measures customers can take. First of all, energy efficiency, it reduces consumption. The brilliant thing is, for the customer, it saves them money, number one, and it reduces carbon emissions, brilliant. But actually, there's this secondary benefit here of it reduces loss on our network. Just a caveat, some of these concepts I'm going through now, I'd be more than happy to do a sort of a separate event or answer questions after this. But for now, just the key is that energy efficiency can, as a side benefit, reduce losses, as can demand shifting, where it's probably something that hasn't come up quite a lot, but demand shifting is brilliant, because I'm not sure if a lot of you are aware, but the average carbon intensity, so the amount of carbon that's gone into producing a unit of electricity in the middle of the night, is maybe half of that at 7 o'clock at night. So there's a huge benefit to customers in terms of the carbon impact. And if they're on flexible tariff in offsetting that demand to low demand periods. And the side benefit there, again, it reduces losses on our network. And we recognize there's maybe something we need to do to educate and engage customers on these measures here to bring them along the journey. So next thing is Northern Powergrid and the actions we can take to impact customer energy efficiency. So there's an innovation project called Boston Spa Energy Efficiency Trial. And one of the really wonderful things with this is that actually the reason we're doing this is not because we thought of it. It was actually a member of the community in Boston Spa who actually got onto one of our directors, and we listened and picked up the project. So it just shows the power really of community action and actually impacting us. And I'll really rattle through this, but the key thing I'm trying to get across in this really geeky graph is that this is a plot of voltage across time for hundreds of customers. And what you can see is the red lines are the limits we need to operate within. And you can see it's always at the top end, the voltage. Now, what we found over the years is that actually a lot of people's devices are optimized to work at 230 volts, meaning that looking at this, well, we're providing a voltage that's too high and reducing the energy efficiency of our customers' devices. So what can we do? Well, the beautiful thing now is that we've got these voltage devices or voltage reading devices scattered all across the network called smart meters. You might be using them for other things, but there's actually a use case there for us, so we can optimize our network to improve efficiency behind the meter. And I won't go through this, but this is just an overview of how it works. It's basically a feedback loop, and it updates every half hour to basically give the best voltage to our customers. And the beauty here is that there's real savings potentially for customers if we can make it work, where every 1% voltage reduction, we believe, can reduce demand at the customer level by 1%. So, if we can, on average, reduce by 4%, for a typical customer, it should save them about £18 a year. Extrapolating to the whole of Great Britain, so 28.5 million customers, it's about £500 million in savings, never mind the CO2 emission reduction as well. So that was a really quick whistle-stop tour of explaining how bringing together the network and customers and looking at energy efficiency of the whole system really has some benefits. And that's me, so thank you very much.
Thanks, Mark. I'm super impressed that you managed to get through those 23 slides in 10 minutes. Gold star. I did not think it was going to happen. Thank you for doing that. And there's a couple of things there that are really important to kind of pull out and tease out. One is that community energy organisations out there, if you've got those innovation ideas, there's a really good example there in Boston Spa of a community organisation or members of the community coming to the Northern Powergrid and saying, we've got this idea, or not just Northern Powergrid, if you're in any other DNO license area as well, go to your network operator and say, we've got an innovation idea. We think that this thing could really help not only support the network, but deliver those decarbonisation objectives that we want to see. Hannah's just posted a poll on this. So this is really about asking you questions about what you just heard from Mark. So if you can please complete that now, and we will see the results of that fairly shortly when you've all had time to fill those in. So yeah, innovation is one thing that you can do. The other thing is, of course, energy efficiency, reducing your own demand at peak times. So some really practical things that you can do. And I think one of the things for me as well is, how do community energy organisations fit into this context here? What are we talking about in terms of education and getting out there and helping people in their homes save energy and learn more about how they can have a direct impact on decarbonisation? There is a real space here for community energy organisations to act as that trusted intermediary. So does everyone feel like they've had enough time to fill in that poll? Give me a thumbs up.
I think we've still got some answers coming through, Jodie, so.
Okay, we'll give it a minute or two then.
Seconds.
We've had a few questions coming through on the chat. Andy Wilson is asking, Mark, will EV charging overnight improve the network loss situation at that time? Mark, do you want to have a go answering that?
I'll just have a look at the question. So in general, any extra load on the network, so any extra demand chunks on the network will increase losses. But that said, there's two really big things actually. As we start to decarbonize the network and add more and more renewable power, actually having EVs and the services they can provide, like battery storage, is really useful. And actually, having a few kilowatt hours extra losses, whilst the huge benefits of taking off all these combustion engines, overall it's a huge positive. But that said, losses will go up if we have more load from electric vehicles. But charging overnight, which is generally going to be pushed by the likes of, I've noticed even Octopus Energy and a lot of these big suppliers have got much cheaper rates overnight. And actually, it's kind of a double whammy. It's a lower unit cost for the electric vehicle charger, but also it does have lower losses associated with it charging overnight, simply by the fact that the network loading is lower. So the losses on the network are proportional to basically the amount of load gone through. So if you were to charge at peak time at 7 o'clock, the losses associated with that charging activity would be higher than overnight. So yeah, it's better to charge overnight from the perspective of losses.
Great, thanks, Kai and Hannah. How are we doing on that poll and results? Good. Let's have a look at the results.
Well, I'll just share those results. I think they were.
Perfect. Okay, so most of you broadly agreeing that the strategy of thinking about optimisation and losses while facilitating decarbonisation seems sensible. Great. A few of you still not sure on that. Do you agree customers should play an active role? Absolutely, that's very clear. Do you agree Northern Powergrid should play a role in facilitating customer engagement, customer energy efficiency? Absolutely, so that's great to see. Again, flagging up that kind of Green Doctors programme and the Energy Heroes programme that Northern Powergrid have been financially supporting with content for many years. If you have ideas for more projects like that, then do tell us. And what role do you think that Northern Powergrid should play to engage and educate customers about the demand reduction? A very active role. So there's some really clear indicators there that you want Northern Powergrid to be really proactive on this, really engage people and take a really proactive role. So that's really helpful. How much should we be talking about network losses? A little bit. Yeah, I think that's an interesting topic, isn't it? Because you've got to be quite engaged to want to even think about that in the first place. And I think Northern Powergrid have done a really good job of kind of explaining how they're dealing with that and getting on with it as a kind of business as usual operation. I'm very conscious of time, and we have set aside quite a lot of time in this forum because it is a forum for you guys to ask the questions you want to ask, provide that challenge that Helen has talked about being so critical, and have the conversations that you need to have. So Hannah is magically going to put us all into breakout groups now. We've got well over half an hour for this, and there will be a regen and a Northern Powergrid facilitator in each of those groups to answer questions. And you've self-allocated yourself as beginner, intermediate and advanced, so hopefully you'll be in the right group and able to ask the questions at the level and have the conversations at the level that you want to have. Hannah, over to you.